Hey, I'm Tony Lauro with Akamai. I'm here with my colleagues Steve and Atusa, and we're going to talk a little bit about a wrap-up of our thoughts of RSA Conference 2025. Steve, what did you see this year that really caught your eye?
First, RSA is just such a stellar event. It's such a community. There's probably 44,000 people with badges and another 10,000 around here without. So nice to walk around, reconnect with so many people. 600 speakers, over 600 vendors. Going down to the vendor floor is just amazing. Trying to figure out, what's going on, seeing some of the new emerging small companies coming up is always exciting. The talks itself, I would say the largest talks are around AI, but they broke out AI into agents, large language models, non-human entities, and assistants. And so you can kind of find what you're looking for. Next was API, as we know here in Akamai, is a hot topic with all our customers, and it was a hot topic here. Quantum, and then a lot around community. They're really trying to drive the community, put out that community portal here at RSA. People that haven't been here before or wanted to continue the relationship can get into the community. But for me, I think it was around kind of the evolving role of the CISO. We've watched CISOs go from people that grew up here to people that have MBAs and are coming in, because quite honestly, the board's tired of hearing about IPs and subdomains, and they want to have a business partner. And so there was a lot around the evolution of where the role's going and where the industry's heading. That was very interesting for me.
Yeah, absolutely. It does seem like that changing shift of the CISO role in the business has been kind of starting for some time. So I'm excited to see where that actually goes. Atusa, what about you? Anything interesting that you saw?
Yeah, I would say what was really interesting to me is that we got a lot of questions from both AI architects as well as security architects. There are a lot of our customers and potential, customers. They were at our booth asking. They're spending a lot of time and energy building their AI infrastructure, and the most prominent question that kept coming up was, can you stop people from doing prompt injection? Can you stop people from running malicious code inside all this, beautiful AI infrastructure that I have built? Can you stop people from running a code to actually cause damage to my back end? How about toxicity? Can you address toxicity? And we had some really great conversations around that, and we had a fantastic demo that was actually a very interactive demo. We had a customer that came up and said, can I do my own prompt injection? And we said, absolutely, go right ahead. He did his own prompt injection, and our AI firewall AI was able to catch it and show them, not only stop it, but actually show them exactly what rules we use. So it was very exciting for me to see that,
Yeah, that is exciting. I think the convergence of AI and security, we heard a lot about it last year, so it's interesting to see kind of the evolution of that. And I know OpenAI just announced a retinal scanner that's supposed to create a digital passport for your experience on the internet. And they're starting with dating sites because there's so many bots in dating sites. And I was like, okay, it's a little minority report, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it goes down to some are trying to protect from their employees exposing data through large language models.
Yeah.
Some are trying to figure out how they can leverage natural language query in their security tools and have AI be powerful. Others are protecting their large language models. There are talks about how the criminal element's using it. There's just so much here, but as generative AI becomes part of your business model, you've got to learn how to protect it. We have the OWASP large language model top 10 now, and it's just becoming more and more important to understand as it gains value, we have to protect it like a jewel.
Absolutely. After all, it is a big database with an interactive human element to it, and we've seen how that's gone in the past. So hopefully we can get ahead
and
of
we're
this.
moving way too fast,
Yes, all the problems converging. Anything that you saw, Steve, be left out from the topic of conversation at RSA? Anything that you think was a miss by the community?
It's interesting. I love RSA because so much research comes out here. We just put out our latest SOTI. We talked about new products we're putting out, and that there's a lot of talks that were in the conference, but you have to look beyond the conference for all the research and product announcements. Yeah. The one thing we didn't talk a lot about insider threat. We didn't talk a lot about supply chain like we did 2 or 3 years ago. And every year we're going to have an insider threat story. Every year we're going to have supply chain stories. I just wish we were more consistent in dealing with those kind of things.
Well, and it seems like supply chain, especially in the world of AI, not everyone's building their own model. So you're using someone else's large language model, which could potentially be a risk.
And APIs are the exact same. There is a huge API supply chain that you have to understand. And where you don't control it, how are you governing it? Where you do control it, how are you actually having visibility into it? Absolutely.
Yeah. Achusa, what about you? Anything you think was missing from the show floor?
I don't know if it was necessarily missing, but the questions that were not being asked is exactly what Steve just brought up, which is, you've built this crown jewel. These AI infrastructures is really the center of innovation for our customers. How are you securing it? How are you microsegmenting it at your origin? Those questions were not asked. So as I was, having these conversations, around securing the AI, I was asking the question: how are you actually microsegmenting? How are you determining if your employees have access to different parts? Who has access to different parts of your AI infrastructure? And that was a question that I had to keep bringing up because it was not top of mind where I thought it should really have been top of mind. Just like we have firewall AI, we should also talk about microsegmenting their origin AI infrastructure.
Almost as though we're going technology first and leaving security as an afterthought. Who would have thunk it?
Well, I mean, the business models are evolving. How we engage customers are evolving. The amount of friction that companies are willing to tolerate, continuing to evolve. But all that is said, at the end of the day, we've got to do a better job of having situational awareness. To your point, I want to trust my employees, but I also want to be able to understand when something malicious is happening, so it's an incident and not a breach. If I discover it in the first 6 hours, not a big deal. 6 months later, class action lawsuit.
So at the opening of RSA, we had a little predictions panel, and I want you guys to kind of grade how well we did. Achusa, we talked a lot at the opening of RSA about API security being a big hot topic, and obviously that fits into the AI space quite a bit because that's one of the major communication pathways. How do you think we did on that? Does that sound like something you heard a lot about?
I did, and I think that's a really good point. I think that's a very good prediction because most of these agentic environments that the LLMs are built in are API based. So first discovering, then securing, and then bringing visibility to the whole infrastructure is really top of mind.
Yeah, and the hope there is that we're doing pretty good already in API security, or the community is. So I hope that that's covered.
That is.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Excellent. Steve, what about you? We heard a lot about in the predictions panel about compliance and kind of this convergence of having real security instead of just checkbox security. Is that something you heard about this week?
Ultimately, compliance has to be a byproduct. Anytime you're trying to go and do, I'm compliant to these 259 FFIEC federal banking regulations, you're not going to have a very good program. But if you build a program and then you say, does a program meet this, you're going to have a much better program. Having said that, we're not talking enough about that in the community. I would say as a prediction, I did not hear that was top of mind. If anything, I'm hearing that compliance is becoming less of a budget driver. So that there's some concern there.
And I think it's good to see that organizations are focusing more on the big picture of security instead of just the checkbox security metrics, which typically drove most security organizations in the first place.
Yeah, I love it because it can get me some budget, but it's not going to protect the customer.
Absolutely. I guess kind of a final thought here. What do you think companies should take away from RSA? There's been a lot going on, a lot of innovation, obviously, a lot of forward movement. But what do you think is kind of a good takeaway that companies should kind of go back to the drawing board and take back into the organization?
For me, it all comes down to situational awareness, and that's beyond visibility. Visibility is seeing what's happening. Situational awareness is understanding the context. I don't care if somebody steals the lunch menu. I do care if somebody steals my proprietary algorithm. So that context, but it's getting harder and harder. I have some critical information up here in containers. I have some on the mainframe. If you're a large bank that's been around for more than 10 years.
They're still there, yeah.
And I have some internal supply chain. I have some supply chain that is integrated into my infrastructure. So it ultimately comes back to situational awareness. Any tools that come integrated, any platforms you can get, anywhere you can have tools that say how they integrate with your current platform, it's all about visibility, situational awareness. And that's the driver as you look at all this new technology.
That's a great point. Kind of the decision-making process comes from situational awareness, not just from visibility. Teresa, what about you? What do you think?
I have to completely concur with Steve. Yeah. And then taking that contextual awareness even further into AI. For example, how you protect the toxicity, for example, for healthcare is very different from how you do that for banks. What is acceptable questioning for in a banking environment is very different than from a healthcare, than from the other industries. So really building these AI models so that they're contextually aware and can be truly used as a tool. And then collaborating. Bring your use cases to us. We love, at Akamai, we love to work with people and understand their problem statement. AI is just another layer of tools that we can use together to solve these problems. And we're very excited to work in this new brave world together.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you guys for being here, and I hope this was useful to our audience. And if you guys want to know more about what we're doing at Akamai, please click the link below.